This is the Stephen who gives the sermon and becomes the first martyr of the church. So him and 6 other men are chosen to become the deacons. So now, looking at this in the modern sense, what is it that we can learn from this? If you're taking notes, you can write this down. If there is a problem, resolve it. If there is a need, fill it. This was a great need. Widows needed to be cared for. This was important to God, so it should be important to the church. So these 7 men were chosen to help. So here we have in verse 8 now, Luke has singled out Stephen now, and he is writing about him. And Stephen, full of grace and power, was doing great wonders and signs among the people. Then some of those who belonged to the synagogue of the freedmen, as it was called, and of the Syrians and of the Alexandrians, and all those from Cilicia and Asia, rose up and disputed with Stephen. But they could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit with which he was speaking. Then they secretly instigated men who said, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God." And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, and they came upon him and seized him and brought him before the council. And they set up false witnesses who said, "This man never ceases to speak words against this holy place, being the temple, and the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and will change the customs that Moses delivered to us." And gazing at him, all who sat in the council saw that his face was like the face of an angel. What they're saying here about Jesus, when he said, they said that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place. Remember, near the end of his death, Jesus says, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Well, they thought that he meant the physical temple, but he was talking about himself, his body. So the synagogue of the freedmen, the text doesn't say much about it, but all we know from history is that Hellenistic Jews attended there. So a debate arises among the Jews from what they're hearing Stephen say. But they could not refute him, because as the text says, they could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit with which he was speaking. It's very interesting wording. So they claim Stephen spoke blasphemous words against Moses and God, which seems uncommon, but the apostles would talk about how Jesus fulfills Old Testament Scripture. I don't know. I didn't read any blasphemous words in there. I don't know if you did, but it was interesting that they say that. We don't have Stephen's speech here, so we don't know exactly what he was saying. But they got into a debate. They're accusing him of saying blasphemous words, and so on. So now he's sent to the Sanhedrin. Can we go to the next picture? This is just a little painting of Stephen before the Sanhedrin. This artist gives us sort of a different look at how the Sanhedrin was. In the other picture, they're kind of sitting in chairs, but now it looks like they're sitting on stone with kind of carpet rugs. And this would be Stephen here, guards. Probably that would be the high priest. So this is more probably moving along into chapter 7, which we won't look at. But this just gives you a little nice picture of Stephen there, something to think about, to learn visually. So his face lit up like an angel. This is something else that happened to a different prominent character, Moses. After he had been with God on Mount Sinai, he came down and his face was lit up because he had been in the presence of the Lord. The reference for that, if you want to look that up on your own time, is Exodus chapter 39, 29 through 35 would be the verses. So, what can we learn from this now as we'll wrap this up? We ourselves, we may never be locked up for being a Christian in our lifetime. Who knows if that would happen? It may not. You never know. But to live in that time period would have been a very stressful time. It's getting more intense now, as we have read. And as I said earlier, the honeymoon period is over. It's getting more dangerous. They've been beaten now for the first time. And one man is now singled out and seized from among all the rest. So they're out for blood this time. But despite the setbacks and persecutions, the church moves forward. They move on to a better tomorrow, to put it elegantly, with Jesus Christ as the vision and as the guideline. Conflicts will arise, and they must be handled in the best and most Christ-like way. That is the only way to solve conflict. And obviously, leadership is an important dynamic of the church. So, as from the previous chapters, it's just been the apostles now. Now it's apostles and deacons. And then moving more forward, elders are going to arise. As the apostles fade out, and Paul moves through his missionary journeys, appointing the elders and all the local bodies of the church. Not everyone can do everything. You can't spread yourself too thin. So some things have to be delegated to good and Christ-like people. And then, obviously, defend the faith, which is something the apostles did frequently and probably every day of their life. I love how Peter, when he's before the Sanhedrin with the rest of the apostles, he tries so hard now for the second time to get his fellow Jews, these leaders, to come to Christ. And as we had read in verse 7 of 6, a great many of the priests became obedient to the faith. And that is very, very good news to read. And then lastly, I'll say it again. If there is a problem, resolve it. If there is a need, fill it. Closing hymn will be 588. I believe the song